What's up, YouTube? Welcome to ExceedTheHype.com. It's your boy Lucrecio coming at you with another video, alright? Today's video is about none other than the Boston Celtics, the team that's on the news, on everybody's minds right now because of all the action that's going on right now. So, the big news of the day is that the Kyrie Irving trade is now official. The final trade ended up being Kyrie Irving for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Zizic, the Brooklyn's first rounder for next draft, and a 2020 second round pick is what the holdout ended up turning into. So obviously the Cavs, I thought it was questionable tactics by the Cavs. Honestly, I thought the Cavs were just trying to go back to the well after striking the deal, trying to make it seem like Isaiah Thomas's injuries were worse than they probably were. And it seemed like the air got let out of the Cavs' sail when Isaiah Thomas talked to Woj on ESPN and said that he's perfect, that he's fine, his career will be exactly what it was before. His injury has been rehabbing well. You know what I mean? He kind of took all of that away from Cleveland by coming out and saying all of that. I guess because he was tired of them kind of lowering his value on the open market because he may not want to resign, even though I think most likely he will resign, but you never know. It's possible that he might want to, test whatever value he has out there. But anyway, let's talk about Boston for a second. Can Boston win the East? Let's look at their roster. So, starting with Aaron Baines, a backup center. He was with the Spurs, so he has some of that Popovich training in him or whatever. Jaylen Brown. Now, this is the guy that I thought Cleveland should really go after if they're really serious about, having multiple wings, a lot of wings playing on the court at the same time. It's a guy who physically, if it wasn't for the hair, if he was bald and you watched him on the court, you would literally think it was Michael Jordan out there. Not necessarily because of his skills. His body looks like Michael Jordan. But he's just a crazy athlete, and I think he could become a lockdown defender in the NBA. And I also think he can be, a pretty dominant offensive player as well. Like, I don't know exactly who to compare him to. I kind of shift towards Kawhi Leonard, but not really because he hasn't shown that type of ability defensively. But I really think Jaylen Brown could be amazing. And obviously a lot of other people did because he was the third pick in the draft. Coming out of high school, he was like the second prospect, only second to Ben Simmons. So obviously the guy has a lot of talent and a lot of ability that he just needs to tap into. But I thought Cleveland would definitely go after him, but obviously they couldn't pry him away from the Celtics, and for good reason. I think he will be a very fantastic player going forward. Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is obviously an all-star in this league already. He had some good seasons, some really good seasons with the Utah Jazz. Unfortunately, I have not seen Gordon Hayward that much. I watched him in the playoffs and I watched him a couple regular season games, but I'm still yet to really understand who to compare his game to or whatever. So maybe he's just a unique player. I like what he brings to the table as a shooting guard on this roster. He does have the experience with Brad Stevens from college, and it looked like it was a foregone conclusion that he was coming to the Boston Celtics even before. I read a report earlier today saying that they didn't pursue Jimmy Butler as hard as they could have because they didn't think he and Gordon Hayward would fit together. And Gordon Hayward at the time was still on the Utah Jazz, so obviously they knew that he was coming. He would be very, very interested in joining Brad Stevens. He will remain an all-star. He made the all-star team last year, and he will be a perennial all-star going forward. I really like the idea of having him in the backcourt with Kyrie Irving. He's not a selfish player. He's a good passer. He can catch and shoot. He can also create for himself. So he's definitely just a very valuable player, another star player. They have a very dynamic backcourt. I don't know if Splash Brothers, maybe not. But you could make a case that Gordon Hayward is more versatile offensively than Klay Thompson, but defensively he's not what Klay Thompson is. So, but Gordon Hayward and Kyrie will make a very dynamic backcourt, and it would be very fun to watch, in my opinion. Al Horford. Now, Al Horford, I have always said that he's playing out of position. I always thought he should be a power forward playing next to a rim protector slash energy type guy like Noah, like he did at Florida. But I always thought that was his true position as power forward, a stretch, especially now because he can shoot threes or whatever, a stretch four playing next to a center who can protect the rim and, make energy plays and things of that nature. It never happened. Every team he's played for, he's played the five. And I've always just thought he's been playing out of position his whole career. He's still out of position. He's still their starting center. He's good. He's very good. He's a good defender. He's a good rebounder. He's smart. He's smart with the basketball. He makes a lot of play. He does a lot of playmaking or whatever from the post. He can stretch out to three. He's basically what you want in a big in today's NBA. So Al Horford will definitely be another tough out. Kyrie Irving. Now let's get to the man himself. Kyrie Irving is a very, very, very special player offensively. He's a very special ball handler. He's a very special finisher at the basket. He can shoot. He can basically do whatever you need to do offensively. I just wonder how the offense will flow with him, because I just really feel like Kyrie Irving spends a lot of time looking for his own shot. Now, if you go back to his Duke days, I thought Coach K got him to play the point guard very well. So you can make a case that it was just coaching, not good enough coaching, that's stopping him from really excelling as a true quote-unquote point guard. I don't know. I'm not ready to blame it on that. I think it's him. I think his instinct is to score. I think his whole game is based around scoring or whatever. But I'm curious to see how he will play in Brad Stevens' system. So I'm very interested to see how good of a fit that's going to be. If you want to compare it to Steph Curry, I'll say one thing. Steph Curry was a guy who in the playoffs under Mark Jackson was not being used to his full potential. And I distinctly remember him getting locked up year after year by Danny Green. They even got put out by the Clippers one year when we all thought the Clippers was going to be the next thing in the NBA. All of a sudden, and I'm not discounting Curry. I know he must have worked very, very hard to improve his game to the point where none of those long defenders could stop him anymore. But you have to attribute some of that to Steve Kerr. When Steve Kerr got there, he realized, hey, you're wasting too much time playing point guard, distributing to others, when we can make you a primary weapon and we can have Draymond Green, somebody who loves playing the point guard and excels playing the point guard as he did, or a point forward as he did at Michigan State. We could plug those skills into our system and make you a weapon, a nuclear weapon. And we all saw how Steph Curry took off from there. So can we be seeing another situation like that where Kyrie Irving as good as he has been with the Cavaliers these past couple of years, could we be seeing a situation where you plug him into a system and a coach, a really, really good coach, has a vision for him, and then it takes his game to the next level? That's what I really wonder. And I wonder if Kyrie Irving wonders that, because Boston was on his list of teams that he wanted to be traded to, even though they had a couple stars already. Marcus Morris, we did see Marcus Morris. I believe this is the Marcus Morris that played for the Wizards. If not, then this is twin brother, Markieff Morris. But in any case, their games are very similar to each other. They're both like undersized stretch four type players. So I'm sure he'll help out, shore up that front line. He is undersized. If they were to play against teams with, big bruiser centers and power forwards, I think him and Al Horford as the two bigs on this team would get exploited. But in today's NBA, it's not a lot of teams like that. It's a lot of pace and space type basketball going on. And those guys fit into that perfectly. Marcus Morris being a stretch four. Terry Rozier, the quick guard. He's a very good backup combo guard for this team. I like his game a lot. Not too much, but I like his game. Marcus Smart. When it comes to defense. And I also think Marcus Smart really did improve his three-point shot quite a bit. I noticed last year in the playoffs or whatever, the Cavs went to the type of defense where they you have to give up something on defense, and that was what they decided to give up a lot. And he was able to make them pay. If Marcus Smart could really continue to improve that three-point shot, I think it would really take his game to the next level. I thought he's another guy the Cavs should have really tried to pry from the Celtics, mainly because of the defense. He's very good, a very good team defender from the point guard position. I think he would help any team out a lot as a combo guard off the bench. He does have some playmaking ability. Like I said, he improved his three-point shot, I believe. I think Marcus Smart will be a very good player on any team, and on this team, backing up Kyrie and backing up Gordon Hayward, I think he will be very, very, very valuable for this team, and I think we will continue to see his game grow and get to the next level. So very excited about Marcus Smart. Jason Tatum. So we saw him at Duke. To me, when he was in college, I thought he reminded me a lot of a Carmelo Anthony type player, or at the very least like a Jabari Parker a little bit, but really more so Carmelo Anthony, just because of how silky the jump shot was. He had a lot of high post type stuff, moves, fadeaways, whatever. A lot of a very good mid-range game, and he could even stretch his range out to the three-point line. I like that a lot. I didn't really see a whole lot of blowing past people and that athleticism or that explosion that you see from a lot of NBA players. But when you have a really polished game, a game that's based on specific skill and refined skill and things of that nature, I don't know that you necessarily need that explosiveness like that. Kyrie Irving is another example of that type of player. He's probably not the most athletic point guard. If you compare him to Isaiah Thomas gets two spots on the floor that he wants to get to based on a lot of athleticism. He's really, really, really quick, right? Kyrie Irving, you see, he isn't quick like that, or he isn't quick like some of the other really athletic point guards or whatever, but he gets to his spot because he's so unpredictable with the ball. His movements are so unorthodox or whatever. The way he shifts his body weight and stuff, it's just the misdirection. There's just so much stuff that Kyrie Irving does that it's just as effective as somebody with a whole lot of athleticism and a hezzy move like Isaiah Thomas does all the time. So it's just funny the way that works, skill versus athleticism. But I'm sure Jason Tatum has a lot more athleticism than I'm giving him credit for. But he will be a very good player for them. Another thing is, in today's NBA, where there's so many wing players and you have to be able to switch, 1 through 4, whatever, having him play a 4 or having him and Jaylen Brown be interchangeable at the forward positions will be very valuable for that. Defensively, they'll learn to be very versatile and be able to guard anybody. So that makes them a very good matchup for teams like Golden State if they continue to rule over the NBA. Yeah, so with that being the case, I still think, even though Boston is really good, I still think they lost this trade, as crazy as that may sound. A lot of their success last year was predicated on Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, and Jay Crowder. And it was a whole lot of defense being played. This team had a specific identity that was based around defense. Al Horford is also a very good defender at the 5 position. Now, even though they got better talent-wise with Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown taking steps towards improvement, and also adding Jason Tatum, another person who seems like he could be a very prolific scorer in the NBA, and Kyrie Irving, I just don't know that they have an identity now. So the first order of business is for them to find their new identity. Are they going to try to score 120 points a game? What are they going to do in order to make themselves a dominant team? I think it's going to take a while for them to figure out. And then from there, it's going to take a while to really impose their will. But being that I don't think they'll finish first in the East this year. I do think Cleveland will end up finishing first. I think Boston will finish second. I don't think this year they will necessarily get Cleveland, but ultimately we don't know what's going to happen with the Cavs. They're very, very unstable, and they're breaking up. Now that Isaiah Thomas is there, he can walk. Kevin Love is still going to be there for another year. But if Isaiah walks and LeBron walks, Kevin Love isn't really much of a threat. So going forward, Boston is really going to be looking in a rearview mirror at the Bucks and a Antetokounmpo coming up the pike. They're going to be looking at the Philly and Embiid and all those guys they're coming up the pipeline. And they also still have to try to fight off John Wall, which this Wizards and Celtics rivalry that's been going on the past couple years just intensified, because even though John Wall and Kyrie Irving are friends or whatever the case may be, I think Kyrie Irving was a little bit jealous of John Wall because of, his reputation around the league now. He's seen as that next superstar point guard coming up the pike, and Kyrie Irving wants to kind of head that off and be that guy. So I think because of that, that's going to turn into, well, it's already a big rivalry, but that's going to turn into a more intense rivalry, and I'm excited to see it. And then you can't forget about Toronto. Toronto's in the mix too. But I do think the Celtics are legit challengers in the Eastern Conference, and it's going to be a very interesting year. Ultimately, good trade for the future. I do think they gave up a little bit too much for Kyrie, especially I'm looking at that draft pick or whatever. But ultimately, the Boston Celtics got the guy that they really wanted. All right, let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and as always, see you next time. All right.